All right, Snoogs, tell us who the said that.
I've gone blank. Hold on 2 seconds.
That's a tricky one.
That's a tricky one. No. If you can't do it, I can't help you. Put down the controller and walk away.
Okay, so
who the said that?
It's something where they breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
And it's something you've played, is it? Obviously, yeah.
Something I've played.
I know it. I think I've played it, but I can't think of it. I'll have a little bit more of a crack later in the show. What about you, Greg?
A bit of a crack later.
You know what it is, Greg? You muted, Greg?
Yeah, no. I was just thinking. Sorry, I was writing another note. Can you
had to put mute on to hear the... Sorry?
What's the quote?
What's the quote?
What's the quote?
I was writing a note, sorry.
If you can't do it, I can't help you. Put down the controller and walk away.
No, I don't know that one.
Yeah, something that breaks the fourth wall and after dying several times or something like that. Alright, we'll find out who that is later on. Let's get started. This is episode 220, and today is Tuesday, the 3rd of July, 2018. Welcome to the Aussie Gamers Express video game podcast. I am your host. Don't forget to read out your own name, stupid, but don't read this out. Lucas, and here we are. Here with me is my co-host and very good friend, Snoogs. Don't laugh at that because it'll be strange when it's edited out. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm even better now.
Okay, lovely. Also here with us is the guy that once finished a lap of Mount Panorama riding a Cocker Spaniel. Grejio! How are you, mate?
Hey, yeah, I'm good. And we all know you're not going to edit that bit out, so it's all good. I do have to say some words about the Cocker Spaniel, though.
Somebody else has got something to say about the Cocker Spaniel.
That's exactly how the Cocker Spaniel felt after doing the lap of Panorama. Me sitting on it today.
Hi, Zoe.
Yeah. The comedic timing of a child. How brilliant.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, before we start, here is this week's show in preview. First up, we'll do video game discussion. Then we've got Mock the Story. Then we'll do What's That Sound? Then we'll do Gaming Gaming Pre-Order, I believe it's called now. Then we've got Tech Headland, and this week we are doing VR, virtual reality. Then we'll bring the show home with last words. So without further ado, let's go into video game discussion. Just quickly, I know, Snoogs, you really want to jump in first with this one, but just going to refer to Radicus in the chat. G'day, buddy. Thank you very much for joining in.
G'day, mates.
Is the who the said that from Portal?
No, it is not.
Okay, well, there you go. Sorry,
But good
Radicus.
try.
Very good try.
Funnily enough, I think it's about the same sort of era, but more at the end. I'm jumping straight in because I have some news that I need to talk about because we, as a community, look to have done it. Yes, so today, being Tuesday the 3rd of July, a company got together, being the classification board, and reviewed their original classification or denial of classification for We Happy Few. That original denial has been turned over.
Right.
So they've now come back and classified it still R18+, with the consumer advice, fantasy violence, and interactive drug use. But
So
at least it's now available.
So without changes.
With no changes.
Oh, that just answers Radicus's question there, uncut. So with no changes, so you're allowed to pop the pill, get your achievement, and finish the game.
Yes.
Funny you should mention that. I actually played We Happy Few last night, and I took the pill and finished it.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, so I've already finished the game.
I just got a question.
Sure.
Do you feel like a worse person now?
Who?
Do I?
No, Lucas. Now he's finished the
Lucas.
game by taking a pill. Do you feel like a worse person? Do you feel like you need to take drugs now?
You are now a burden on society, aren't you?
I've actually taken a lot of pills today. I don't even know what they were. I was just opening the packets. It was just all in the cupboard. And I just took them all because I did it in the game. I just thought that was exactly what I needed to do.
Well, I'm glad to see that their fears were substantiated.
Have come to fruition.
I'm just saying.
They've made a mistake. A terrible mistake. Games like this should be banned. But no, I did actually play it last night, and I did take the pill and saw that it finished. There's no achievements in the game as yet because it's still alpha. And then I went back into it and refused the pill and went into the game, and you see that little intro bit that they showed at E3 like 10 years ago. And, the pinata, and they all look at you and go, he's a downer. And then they chase you out. And then it basically turns into Fallout. Where you're up out on the surface with all the downers, and then you need to do things in order to progress through the game. I didn't play a lot. It was a lot more polished and complete from the last time I played it, which was probably going back a couple of years. And it is turning into a pretty decent game, which is good to see. But I don't know, it feels like like poor man's Fallout.
I played it way back when we first got it, and I've held off having another crack at it until its final release. I want to see what that, after the day one update sort of thing comes out, because it should be, I think, end of July that it's supposed to be going 100%, and technically onto the shelves. But I'm looking forward to having a crack at it.
Yeah, it's gotten better. It's definitely gotten better.
Yeah.
Hey,
that was a big thing. I was a bit excited about.
Yeah,
to get it out there.
Bit of success for the Australian gaming community. We were heard and had some action. Well, it's good that the classification board listened.
Yeah, indeed. Something like this has never been heard of before.
Yeah,
and the fact that they stood up and admitted that, okay, we need to take submissions to actually see what other people's advice is, people within the industry. I think that's a good step forward.
It was your email that got the job done, mate.
I reckon I didn't even see it yet. They would have got that many, and a lot of it would have been shit. But at least we were part of it. That's how I look at it, and that's why I kind of feel a bit, excited that it actually it passed. So
it's good. A sense of achievement. Hey, speaking of achievement, I played Bloodborne. Remember, did I mention it on the podcast? I think I did. I think I had a bit of a rant about it. Bloodborne, you get the DLC, and I had the New Game Plus and couldn't get up to the DLC.
The altar, spin around 3 times, and then die. Yeah,
bark like a dog. That's right. Yeah. Well, I had an epiphany the other day. I thought, hang on a minute. I copied my save game file onto a USB back when I played Bloodborne originally, which was like a couple of years ago now, because I heard that the final boss, if you lose or something like that, you don't get another try or something like that. So I saved it just in case something wrong happened and I'd be able to reinstate it. But think in a minute, that was right before the final boss. So that's with all of the levels unlocked. So I put it onto my Dropbox. So I found it, copied that across to my PS4, booted up the game, worked like a charm, got into the game, went and played the DLC. How good was that?
That's awesome.
That's a really hard DLC. I got my ass handed to me and went, well, that was fun. I'm playing something else.
I can remember when Bloodborne first released, and Thorncliffe was playing it at the time. And I went over there and I'm like, this actually looks, it looked beautiful for the time. The graphics, it was running a nice 60 frames, and it was just, a stunning game to watch. And I said, when you're done with it, I'll have a crack. And he just looked at me and went, no, you won't. Okay. Thorncliffe being my brother, he knows my mannerisms and how I play fairly well. I'm sort of looking at him. What do you mean, no, you won't? He goes, you won't want to play this. Oh, bullshit, you don't know what you're talking about. Here, give us a go now. And I think 3 minutes I lasted, and I raged and went, that's it, I'm going home. See you later.
It's
funnily enough, I got it when it was a PS Plus game, and I've been debating and tempting to go back because, one, I think streaming it would be hysterical for anyone watching. But, yeah, haven't quite gotten there yet.
Yeah, I'll go back to it again one day, but I was just surprised that I could get it to work, so I gave it a go. I also played a game that's been sitting on my pile of shame for a very long time.
Yeah.
Nier Automata.
You finally had a crack.
Yeah, I put that in and had a play of it today, actually. And it is not the game that I expected from the demo. It's very, very different. Because it starts off, like the start of the game is the demo, and it's, there's all these different game types. It's kind of like a Galaga style thing where you're shooting stuff and then it switches into a mech style top down thing, and then you land and then it's a third person, a Devil May Cry kind of thing. It changes up the gameplay so much, and then once you finish that first mission, which is quite epic, it takes you into like this, what appears to be like a semi-open world, which is kind of like a JRPG now. It's very, very strange. I've not written it off, but I don't know what my feelings are on it yet. It's a little bit strange, so I've got to play a little bit more of it to see what I actually think of it. But have either of you contemplated or looked at that game?
No,
I originally, but no.
Sorry, what?
Not since. Yeah, it's a no from both of us.
No.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
See, I always thought it was going to be a JRPG, and not that they're not great, but I just don't particularly like them. So I kind of just went, it's not for me. And
I didn't really see that kind of gameplay coming, but it's sort of because I played the demo, but the demo just really is not what you're getting. I thought it was going to be a level for level action, slice them up sort of game, that kind of thing, like Devil May Cry, but it's not. It's not even, no, that's just that intro. I don't know if it goes back to that again later, but yeah, a little bit bizarre. I'm just doing fetch quests at the moment.
Yeah, see, I played the demo.
Yeah.
And from the demo, I got that it wasn't really for me, because I don't mind JRPGs. But now that you've said that, I might have to have a look a bit closer at it.
Yeah, it changes up big time. Radicus, what's Radicus saying? Bloodborne looks like torture. Young fella plays it. It looks good, but not for me. When he says young fella, though, he's probably talking about someone our age.
Yeah.
Yeah, his son, his young fella's like 45 years old.
Just in case anybody's wondering with it.
His young fella has
24. There you go.
Okay, a little bit younger. A little bit younger than us. I tried the Unravel 2 demo, because that's available for a limited time for some stupid reason. I
had a crack today as well.
Oh yeah, it's a very pretty game, and the controls are so intuitive, and it plays really well. What did you think?
I have to agree. I went into it not thinking much, because I was just like, just a little platformer. I'll give it a crack, because I didn't play the first one. But I thought, you know what? Be fair, I'll give it a crack, and I really enjoyed myself playing it. Like you said, it's very pretty. Very easy to pick up. It's very intuitive, and I found that it flows really well.
Yeah.
Like even if there was like a couple times where I sort of, I think it was like 2 or 3 times where I sort of stopped and had to think about what I was going to do next. But for the most part, the pathfinding was very easy.
Very intuitive. Yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of, it leads you by the nose without you realizing it, kind of thing. And
yeah, it's very
that little spark of light that if you watch it carefully, it gives you enough clue to sort of push you through the game.
Yeah, so it's a big jump from the first game. I felt the controls were just spot on in this one. Like they were just so responsive, and the whole integration with the second Yarny, or whatever the other one's called.
Yep.
It was so brilliant. It's a single-player co-op game, or you can play it co-op with another person as well, which is really cool.
I spoke to Rem about it. I think the two of us are going to try and have a crack at it in 2-player co-op, just to see how it feels that way. But we both agreed in like 12 months' time, I think it'd be amazing to watch people that have really sat down and played this game a lot and watch them speedrun it, because it will look amazing when people speedrun it.
Working together, yeah.
Yeah, 2-player co-op speedruns, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, now that you mention that, I think I agree. That would be interesting to see. I've got a bit of news. Fortnite. Snoogs, have you noticed that there's a new playground mode?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. So
I haven't played it yet. I think it actually went into full rotation today.
I played it today.
Beautiful.
Basically what it is, it's a private server where you can invite your mates or go in alone, and you've got 60 minutes on the server, on the countdown timer, and you just do whatever the hell you like. There's no storm, and there's no other players unless you invite them in.
Yep.
And yeah, you go and pick up some guns, you can shoot stuff, cut down trees, build things. You can jump off things and die, and if you die, you'll respawn back free falling from the sky, and then you parachute in. And yeah, it's a really good tool for like a training ground. I think that probably would have been a better name rather than playground. Training ground, because you can try everything out. You can go and get everything. You can go and suss out where the chests are. You know, you do anything. And I don't know, because I didn't try it with another person, but I think you can shoot your friends. So if you want,
we'll have to give it a crack then.
Yeah, because there was a kill counter.
Yeah.
And if you died, you just respawned in 10 seconds again. So I'm pretty sure you'd probably be able to shoot people that you invite into the game. We'll have to give that a try, because that'd be interesting to have private matches, but I don't know how many people you can get in, if it's just 5 or if you can make it open. I don't know, but it's interesting. It's worth checking out, because you know, sometimes you want to try something in there, but you never get a chance to do it because there's so much going on. There you go. There's your option.
Well, Fortnite's Twitter account actually has been. I've been following that for a little while now, and they've posted up in there that they want to see what people can create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they're actually monitoring what people are doing in there and how they're going about it, and they're going to use that for the build mechanic, because there's supposed to be some big changes in regards to building.
Yeah.
I was actually going to make that comment. I have a funny feeling that you'll create versions of the game like, you know, pickaxes only kind of thing, and they're going to turn around and go, which of these works really well, and the public, you know, the community really likes it. Let's make that a game mode. You know, like we already have another game.
Yeah, so there you go. I can't wait to see some of the stuff that people actually create, though. That should be pretty cool.
Now, another mobile game that I've had my hands on this week is a game called Hole.io. Have you guys seen that? I put up a video of it this week on the Facebook page.
I gave it a crack.
Video. Yeah.
That's addictive as hell, man. Just like that soccer game from last week, man. Hole.io is the bomb. I was so addicted to that.
My best at the moment is third. I haven't won a round yet, but I got third.
Oh, I've won a few modes. It really does make a difference where you spawn at the start of the game.
Totally. I've already worked that out.
If you spawn right next to a park, you're in.
Yep.
You're in with a chance of first place, because there's trees, there's park benches, there's fences, all of that stuff to swallow. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, Hole.io is a smartphone game where you just control a hole in the ground. And there are all these things like on this map, and you start off as a small hole, so you can only get people, bins, and all that sort of stuff to fall in there. But the more you suck in, the bigger you grow, to the point where I was taking in skyscrapers in one go. You know, kind of reminded me of an ex-girlfriend of mine. Yeah. Kazakyle is in the chat. Welcome, buddy. He says Hole.io. Yeah, like Slither and Agar. Yes, I've played Slither. That's it's kind of like Snake, and these are online games as well. So you're versing other people at the same time, which is really cool. You're a black hole sucking things smaller than you. Well worded. Phrasing. And the more you eat, the fatter you get. Right. Moving on.
I have a game that I need to vent about.
Okay.
I finally played. Is it NBA Battlegrounds?
the quest for shoe money.
Oh yeah, Battlegrounds. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, NBA Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
So I downloaded that. It's on Game Pass at the moment, and played it, and rage quit, swore at it, deleted it. It's just shocking.
Sounds like you had the same experience that I did.
I went in open. It was not responsive. It was just terrible. I literally played half a match and went, that's it, I'm done, and deleted it.
Yeah, I did too. I don't like the game. I thought it was rubbish.
Yeah, I'm usually pretty open with just about anything, but it just didn't work. I know it was the first time playing it, and I don't have the skills, but yeah, like Radicus has put in the chat, it's got terrible controls, and even when you put it in with like a similar sort of style when you're trying to play it like an NBA game, I don't do too badly at NBA games, but this was just shocking. I don't know what it was about it. I think the control feature was just terrible.
To be fair, I'm finding sports games increasingly harder to get into as a new player because they're becoming more and more complex every time they bring out a new iteration.
Unnecessarily complex, mind you.
Yeah, and it feels like unless you've been playing the series since the onset, you aren't progressing, you aren't evolving with the game.
Yeah.
And so when you walk in, there's this massive evolution. And it's kind of what killed, what was it called? Like Armored Core? You remember that game?
Armored Core?
It was like the Japanese mech game.
Yeah.
It was kind of the Japanese version of Mech Warrior.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the same deal. It was kind of, by the time you got to the later games, if you were getting into the game then, the amount of pre-knowledge you would have had to evolve to the next game almost sort of cut new players out of the game.
Yeah, I agree. Hey,
except for the baseball ones.
Oh, fuck, no, we're not going down that path. super stupid baseball game. Number 2. Nothing to do with it being a sequel. Hey, next game I got on the list is one that you guys have been anticipating that I play for a while now. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. I'm actually saying the name. I think I said the name right.
I think so.
What I do, man.
About right.
Sacrifice Blade. You all know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Sacrifice Blade. Oh, but last week I was saying Suena. I think I said Suena's Sacrifice. It's Senua's Sacrifice. But anyway, I've played that and I finished it now.
And? You're still all there, aren't you?
All right, let me start off from one end and we'll go to the other. It is a beautiful game. That is some amazing graphics. The whole time playing it, I was blown away by how good it looks. The story is pretty. It's bland. Like it's got merits to it, and it's got a lot of soul and blood, sweat, and tears put into that story. You can tell that they've done a lot of research with the mental health and all that sort of stuff. One of the first credits that popped up at the start of the game was the mental health advisor, and I'm like, wow, they had an advisor on this game for the mental health. Because for those that don't know, Senua is the player that you play as, and she has severe mental health problems. She has voices in her head. And when you start off, they're talking and you hear them all around you, and the voices are really annoying to the point where, like you said a few episodes ago, you were like gonna scream at them, like, shut up, damn it, you know?
Yeah.
And it was distracting and it was annoying, and I guess that's the idea, because the game is kind of giving you the struggles that Senua is experiencing because she's got all these voices in her head. The thing is, the game is horribly boring and repetitive, where you are either so engrossed in that story, which, mind you, doesn't really go too far out of its way to be impressive, other than the fact that it's dark, twisted, and deep with the whole mental health side of things.
Yep.
If that's not something that you're really interested in finding out what happens and all that, you'll turn it off and you'll stop playing halfway through, because God knows I wanted to. I was bored out of my brain. Basically, Hellblade is a good enough told story with the exact same puzzles over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Until you get to the end.
It's very rinse and repeat.
Oh, yeah. It's the first time that I encountered a certain puzzle, like the illusion ones, I was like, wow, that's really neat. How when you look around here and you can see, and you know that, and like, you know, it's a really interesting thing. Then the second time they do it, you're like, oh, I know how to do that because I've done it before. Third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, and seventh, and eighth time, that's enough. I'm sick of this game. It's repetitive. The combat is so lackluster. The combat felt great in my first match, like first sort of combat scenario. Then it was exactly the same over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I felt very much the rinse and repeat style. So I still haven't finished it with everything that was going on in my own world. I didn't want to delve into someone else's mental health, so I just haven't picked it up, because that's the part that was really affecting me. Not in a negative way, or as so to speak, but it was affecting me in the fact that it was pulling me in. And that's what was getting me so engrossed and having this emotional connection with Senua. The combat side of it, one thing I did enjoy about the combat, they were pretty much carbon copies of each other. You could literally do the same moves over and over again with each person, and you'd get the same outcome.
Except for the shield guy, you had to kick him first.
Yes. But the big thing that I liked about that was when the voices would whisper, behind you.
Yeah, that was cool.
And you'd sort of have enough time to dodge out of the way. And, you know, just that whole side of the story with the voices and the actual, you know, story and underlining tone that was going with it, and the mythology. I'm a big fan of that mythology. And just as you're going through it, that's the part of it that grabbed me. The actual gameplay and that, though, yeah, it's... the guys will learn from this, and like graphically, that thing was like, it was gorgeous. It is gorgeous. Just the one way that I always pick up is I have a look at the character's eyes, and even the part where I was watching you play it because I wanted to get your reaction when she first gets the black rot. The amount of agony that she looks in, and it looks like you're actually watching a person on the screen, not an animation. I just thought it was brilliant how they did it.
Yeah, mind you, I finished the game with the black rot all the way up to my shoulder, so I don't actually know whether or not that whole permadeath thing that they talked about and that comes up at the beginning of the game, you know, if the rot reaches your head, game over and all progress is deleted. I don't know how true that is. I've heard that it's rubbish. But it got up to my shoulder. As it got
closer up your shoulder and up your arm, were you tempted to push it, or did you actually start to take notice of it and think, okay, I can't let it go too much further?
No, didn't really care.
Didn't do anything.
No, I didn't. Wasn't in on the game enough to the point where if it just deleted my save game, I'd probably give it a high five and say, "Cheers, thanks for coming."
Fair enough then.
I was over that game well into it. Like, it was... I finished it because I wanted to be able to see all of it. So I didn't want to walk out and go, that was crap. And then someone go, did you finish it? And I'm like, no. And they're like, you missed out on the best bit. So I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want that to happen. So I pushed through and finished it. I'm not saying it's rubbish. I'm just saying it was... you can see why it wasn't $100. We played Black Ops 3 this week.
We did.
Bit of gun game and
much fun.
Yeah, bit of the online multiplayer. We all won a gun game each. There was yourself. There was Red Dragon who came and joined it, and obviously myself. And we all won a game of gun game. That was good fun. I'd like to get a few more of us together and play that.
Yeah, it'd be awesome for everyone to jump in and have a crack.
But the good thing is, with Black Ops 3, you can customize the map, like the games in private matches. You can customize them pretty well. Like, you can make it so it's pistols only, shotguns only, snipers only, or 10% health, or 200% health. You can change everything. So it's really good fun to get a whole bunch of mates together. Obviously, you're not earning any XP or anything like that, but it's good fun to spend the night doing it with your buddies.
Lots of fun was had jumping around and chasing each other around, all trying to box each other to death. Yeah, no, it's good. I only just went up today, but I put up the live stream highlights of it today on the YouTube channel. So if you want to see I saw that.
Red Dragon, Snoogs and I running around like maniacs, shooting each other and stuff, go to the Aussie Gamers Express YouTube channel. Check it out. Including
my awesome double kill.
Yes,
with one bullet.
I think I did a slow-mo. I did a replay.
You did a slow-mo. I had a look for it. I'm like, did he put it in? Just saw it. Yep,
100% that had to go in. Jeez, yeah. So Snoogs, I'm in fisticuffs with Red Dragon for the win, trying to finish the game, and Snoogs lines us both up with a sniper rifle and puts us both down with one shot. And I didn't know what had happened. I thought you shot me. But then when you watch the kill cam, I'm like, oh, you got both of us. Amazing.
Radicus had fun watching you miss.
Yeah, I just read that. I just saw that. I'm there to entertain. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Radicus.
That's what it is.
Well, I got a daughter, so I don't always miss.
Oh, there we go.
All right, let me just punch out a couple of bits of news I've got, and then I'll let you guys bring it home. First up on news, last week we mentioned the PlayStation Plus games for the month, and I said next week we might have the Gold. I think the Gold games actually came out that night, like
evening
that we finished the podcast. But anyway, I've got them here. So Xbox One is going to see Assault Android Cactus from July 1 to 31. Death Squared, July 16 to August 15. And the 360, which is also playable on Xbox One through backwards compatibility, is Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown from July 1 to 15. And Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Conviction, July 16 to 31. You can't tell me that they're not hinting at a Splinter Cell.
I
heard a rumour.
Me too.
According to Amazon Italy.
Yeah. There's another listing leaked or something, wasn't there?
Yep. And Bloodborne 2 was on it, since we were just talking about Bloodborne a moment ago.
Yeah, that was on there as well. Yeah. I don't know.
I know.
There's been heaps of leaks like that, but could that be just somebody making that up just to...
look.
Because they know that it'll get retweeted?
Yeah, my rumour's better.
What's your rumour?
My rumour is that there's a reason it wasn't at E3, and that's because of the leaks. And because of the leaks and everyone getting so excited about it, Sony has come in and negotiated with Ubisoft to make a worldwide premiere of it at the PlayStation Experience.
Oh, PSX.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a thing?
Could be.
I hope it is, dude. I can make all these empty threats, not that they mean anything, but I swear if I don't hear anything about Splinter Cell by the end of 2018, I'm never going to play a Ubisoft game ever again.
And then in January 2019, when they announce it, you'd be like, I renounce everything.
Sorry.
I'll go back on what I said.
I'm sorry, Ubisoft.
Ubisoft were once upon a time my favourite developer.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because of games like Splinter Cell and Assassin's Creed. And they've sort of just let me down in the last few years, but I still got a little bit of love there for them. They do make good games. I can't take that away from them.
Sea of Thieves. So it's the 20th anniversary of Banjo-Kazooie. So they've brought out a new figurehead, which is called the Bird and Bear. the Bear and Bird, sorry, which is essentially just this wooden carved bear with a bird on its chest. And there'll be a bunch of other stash items that you can get throughout the game that's to do with, the 20th anniversary of Banjo-Kazooie. So kind of a neat little crossplay thing. So if you're into Banjo-Kazooie and Sea of Thieves, by all means, get on that and check that out. Sonic. Word that very rarely gets said anymore.
You had me at Sonic. I'm listening.
Yeah. So Sonic has a movie coming out. It'll be a live-action plus CGI affair. It's going to be directed by Tim Miller, who's the guy that directed Deadpool. And I got news yesterday or the day before that they're in final negotiations with Jim Carrey to play Dr. Robotnik.
Well, that's
news today is that he's actually signed.
Oh, he has signed? Sweet.
Yep.
And that they've set a release date of November 19 for the movie.
Well, these days, Jim Carrey's going to be really good at playing a crazy mad scientist because he's actually batshit crazy himself these days.
He is full on mad these days. It's insane. I watched a show with him the other day where it's like a candid sort of just discussion show, and they would just they go out for a drive, have coffee, and they talk to him. It's on Netflix. It's Jerry Seinfeld's new show. Driving comedians in cars, getting coffee or something.
Yeah.
Some stupid, bizarre title like that. Yeah. Anyways, with him. And the whole time you're just sitting there going, that dude has lost the plot. He has literally gone off the deep end.
He is Judge Crackers, yep.
He is, yes, he is. He's absolutely crackers.
Oh, good luck to him.
So I have one more piece. The last couple of weeks, we seem to be talking about lots of, down sort of depressing things about gaming, like people suing each other and all that jazz. I finally found a piece of news today that's kind of really nice. So I thought I'd share it with you guys. It's about Eve.
Oh, yeah?
It's about Eve. One of its pretty high up members, was one of the people that was killed in the US bombing of the embassy in Benghazi.
Oh, yes.
His name was Varrat, and he was a member of one of the two largest factions in EVE called the Goonswarm Federation, which was the head of the, what do they call them? The coalition, the head of the Imperium Coalition, which, if you want to get into the politics of EVE, it's epic. It's a huge group of people.
Just don't.
Yeah, let's just take my word that he was at the pointy end of a very large, thousands of people kind of pyramid. Anyway, their largest rivals in the game is a faction called Darkness, which are part of the Guardians of the Galaxy Coalition. Anyway, these guys have had a long-standing rivalry, and at the notification of the untimely death of Varrat, the leader of the Darkness proposed donating a monument to their rivals to dedicate it to Varrat. This particular monument that they're gifting them is a particular outpost that in 2011 the Goonswarm Federation and Darkness had a massive battle over. And it was essentially a liking to the Alamo. Goonswarm were the ones that owned the outpost, and they were pretty much they won the battle, but it was, against all odds. They were completely outgunned, outnumbered, but they somehow managed to win it. Now, eventually, years later, the Darkness eventually got the outpost from them. But as a tribute to Varrat, they gifted them that monument in his name, and I just thought that was kind of a cool, nice gaming thing to talk about. Since, like I said, we had so many downers last week. I think listening back, I think we had 5 news articles about people suing people.
Yeah, it was. That was almost going to be the title. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually really nice, considering the last story that came out of there was utter annihilation between the two of them. Yeah, people lost thousands of dollars worth of ships that they had purchased. That
Yeah, I remember that story.
it was just massive. So
these two factions are pretty much responsible for some of the biggest warfares in EVE. Like thousands upon thousands of people fighting against each other, and the atrocity and losses in the game are quite significant.
There you go.
So,
that is nice. All right, Snoogs, did you have another bit of news?
Yeah, I've got something to come out after we recorded our show last. So I thought I'll bring it up now. Next year, we're going to see an adaptation of Halo on our TV screens.
Oh, yeah.
So, Showtime President and CEO David Nevins has announced that the network has ordered a 10-episode season based on the Halo games. So it's actually going to start. The story will start around the same time as the video game did. Hopefully, we've over the coming months there'll be a bit more drips and drabs of it coming out. In Australia, it'll be coming to Netflix. Not Netflix, sorry, Stan, I'm told. So it looks like they've picked up the rights to it.
Okay.
So all things going ahead, you can come around here and watch it.
All right, something touched on our Facebook page about Fallout 76. It's not going to include any crossplay whatsoever. So there was an interview with GameStar where, what's his name, Todd Howard was asked why the upcoming online Fallout title won't feature cross-platform play. And he says it's because Sony is not as helpful as everybody would like. We would love to have that, but currently this isn't possible. Now, I put a post up on Facebook, on our Facebook page, trying to draw attention to the fact that it feels like a cop-out that Howard is saying, well, if Sony doesn't want it, nobody's getting it. Everyone's sort of just focused in on Sony and thought, oh, you assholes, Sony are not playing ball, and Grejio comes in there to save the day and is the only one to really acknowledge the real issue here.
Yeah. And to be fair, I agree, it is. It's a cop-out.
It is. What, like, why does nobody else get it? Why can't it be cross-platform to PC, to I don't know, whatever else is going to be on? Why can't the other platforms use it? Just because Sony doesn't?
I don't know. So unless they're only planning to bring it out on Xbox and PlayStation, you're right. This is just a flat-out cop-out. Yeah. You know, this is... I don't like. I made the joke. Maybe this is, you know, Bethesda finally becoming a first-party exclusive to Xbox, and this is just their way of, you know, giving Sony the bird. But you know, like, there's no other explanation of why.
The thing is, everybody loves Todd Howard so much that fact seems to have just floated past everybody, and the hate just landed on Sony. Because, you know, Sony are
the Todd can do no wrong.
What was that?
Yeah.
The Todd can do no wrong.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Because, look, Sony are being what appears to the consumer a bit of a douchebag, but they're just compounding that by saying, well, if Sony doesn't want it, well, then we're not doing it. Like that's a bit piss poor. I don't know. It's another watch this space sort of thing. We'll see how things evolve and if anything changes. But I think that's crap.
The only other conclusion I can come to, and it's tentative at best, because if this was the case, they should have just out and out said this. The only other reason that he would say that is that he is goading PlayStation into finally. You know, it's one thing for the consumer base, but when the devs start hammering you about it, all of a sudden you've got it on two fronts, and you have to come to. It's almost like he's forcing them to come to the party.
Yeah,
however,
they had a similar issue.
If that's what he's doing, he should have said that.
Well, yes, but there was a similar issue when it came to adding the mods. Remember, they added the mods to the Xbox, and it was like 6 months, maybe even more, longer down the track before the PlayStation got it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's going to be a similar thing here, but it's not sounding good, because I want to get this on PC. I want to play Fallout 76 on the PC because I want to play it in 60 frames. I want to play it on a powerful system. But then there are people like you, Greg, that won't be getting it on PC. If you get it at all, you're going to be on the Xbox or something, yeah?
Yep.
I'm not going to be able to play with you if I get it on the PC. So then I'll have to get it on the Xbox or something, you know, so we can all play together.
Depends whether we might be able to use it on the Xbox cross-play compatibility. They do something there.
Huh?
You know, well, in the moment there's some games you can play Xbox to PC purely because you're playing it on.
Oh, the Play Anywhere thing.
Your Play Anywhere thing. So if they put that on there, that's a possibility. So, like I said, if it really is like they can afford not to say that because it's assumed in some instances for the most part. I would have thought. Who knows? Look, you're right. It's a watch this space, see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, but anyway,
maybe it's just Todd being a dick. Who knows? Like either way, it's at face value, it's a cop out. Let's go with that. That's
what I think. Anyway, anything else, Snoogs?
No, just lots of D2 from me. Been playing a lot of it lately. That's about it. Just doing powerful gear. I've now got 2 of my characters up above 340 light, and third one won't be too far behind. So it's got its claws back into me for now.
When the next DLC comes out, I'll get that and I'll be right up there with you.
All right, sounds good.
Because everyone knows when the DLC drops, you don't actually have to do anything to get up to where your mates are.
Yeah.
Because it just drops everything for you.
I'm going to put it out there, you're not going to get the next DLC.
Yeah, probably not. I said that for comedy reasons.
Yep. I doubt even Snoogs will.
Thinking about it.
Without going into an hour-long spiel, why? What's wrong with it?
Well, it's going to a subscription base.
Oh.
Yeah, it's...
How's that not been brought up?
$114 or something Australian.
Because I was so enraged I didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah. I left it alone because I knew Greg was being enraged about it.
Pretty much, it's what's killed Destiny for me.
We'll come back to that another time.
Yeah,
because we're running on time. Let's keep going. Woo! All right, let's go into next segment. Mock the story. All right, Pat, what is Mock the Story again? It's been a while.
Mock the Story is just us having fun with a story that's been in the news recently. So the story that we're going to play with tonight, a few weeks ago, the staple of journalism in Australia that is a current affair, was out and about asking all the local people around Australia what they thought about Fortnite. So what I'm asking us here tonight, what interviews did we not get to see on A Current Affair that night?
Ones that hit the cutting room floor, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, what hit the cutting room floor?
All right then, kick it off.
Slurp juice. Is it really as healthy as they say?
Worried about. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos of people drinking slurp juice, which I think they're drinking the contents of glow sticks.
Glow sticks. And while they might be not
hopefully it's mixed with Drano.
Probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. I reckon that'd be very chemical based.
It apparently tastes tingly. Someone described it chili, but without the flavour of chili.
Yeah.
So.
Fortnite needs to be more realistic. You know what happens when you use a pickaxe to chop down a tree? Whiplash. That's what happens.
I've never thought of that. It's a pickaxe. It's not really effective.
No.
Why wouldn't it be an axe?
I don't know. Because you can't break concrete and steel. Well, no, you can't do that with pickaxe.
Radicus has said, this is fake news, right? Does that mean you're a robot? Yep, does. Fortnite gives me sexy time with the wife while the kids are distracted.
Tonight, an ACA investigation into Fortnite's dodgy builders stealing construction materials and their building shortcuts.
Oh, that is so accurate, though.
Oh, yeah. I put some thought into these. We did.
2 weeks.
That's it.
What?
It had to be out there. Someone was asked, what did they think about Fortnite? 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
All right, gotcha.
Yeah.
See, but come on, we're all dads here. We should have at least got. Someone should have thought of that one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Sorry.
let my children play this game because it's too close to softcore porn with locations such as, I don't know, moisty shafts and salty, greasy wood.
Hot Property, an ACA exclusive. Experts give their top tips on places to hole up to get into the top 20.
I was so worried about my kids playing Fortnite, so I tried it myself. 15 kills first round. Gets good, scrubbers!
Oh dear. Fortnite is teaching children what failure is like over and over again. Further to that, it's showing them that swearing and making jokes about minority groups is acceptable behaviour.
Is this Australia's worst parent? Refuses to let her child play games rated for adults, and she enforces time frames for gaming? Where will her abuse of power end?
It's the most expensive free game I've ever bloody heard of.
Fucking scrubs. PUBG rules!
Love them or hate them, AR's the backbone of every build. Here's why you need to accept that.
It's called Fortnite because you build forts. And the night part comes from appealing to the current generation of children who learnt to spell using social media.
Yes, as a child psychologist and avid gamer, I'd love to... Hello? Why are you walking away?
Samuel is a self-player, but this 16-year-old knows when to put study first.
Yeah, no. Fortnite saves me money on dancing lessons for my kid. They all emulate
nothing
the
wrong
dances.
there. Yeah, nothing wrong with Fortnite. When the kid's been on it too long, I just belt him one.
That's good parenting. This game has made a 99 victim massacre acceptable in my household.
For sale, one PS4, no controllers, due to two ungrateful little turd children that keep smashing them after every game of Fortnite.
That was brutal.
What's the hardest part about playing Fortnite? Telling your parents that you rollerblade.
Yep.
Oh. Hang on, is that right? Is that how that goes?
Alright. Well, I'm spent.
I'm out.
I got one more.
Okay.
Fortnite is said to lower the sexual inhibitions of young boys. Local churches to begin holding tournaments shortly.
And there it is. There's Frankie Boy. I was waiting for it.
Yeah. I got a couple from Radicus. Fortnite, isn't that PUBG's retarded cousin? Well, maybe. How come all this building but no council permits? Similar to yours.
Those dodgy builders.
Yeah.
Fortnite has made my kids dance like a twat. Oh, Fortnite. That's how long it takes me to wake up after playing it. Oh, dear. That was good. Radicus wins. Makes my kids dance like a twat. I like it. Oh, dear. Very good. I think we're all spent. Are we all spent?
I think we're all spent. So there you go. There's mocked the story for this week.
That is it. All right. Awesome. That was really cool. Let's move on to What's That Sound? So last week in What's That Sound, we had this fancy little sound. And if I bring up my notes correctly, I believe Grejio got that correct on the podcast. Is that right?
And I made it quite clear by saying it a million fucking times.
Yeah. And I beeped them all out. Zach Courtney got it correct. He sent us a message. It's early in the week. It's only Tuesday, so there's going to be other people. My apologies if there are other people that get it right, but we don't mention your name now because that would be weird, like time travel crap, and I'm not up to that. Ooh, well, that was weird. All right. So, for this week's What's That Sound, are you ready?
Ready.
Let's go.
I've got a guess.
Oh, have you? I'll play it one more time. You hold on to your butts. That's it. What's your guess?
So, well, now I've had a second guess it myself, but it's one of two guesses.
Well, pick one. Pick one. You only get one. I'm giving you one this time. I may change the rules.
Okay.
Choose wisely.
Space Invaders.
No. Incorrect.
It's the other one then.
What was your other one?
Do you want me to message it to you?
Yes, you guys can message each other later. But for Radicus's sake, he's in the chat, and he is correct.
Yep.
What? Oh, hang on. Let me have a look. What did he say?
All right, so that's this week's What's That Sound. If you think you know what this week's What's That Sound is, then send a message to our Facebook page, and if you are correct, you may be the recipient of a free game. All right, let's move on to the next segment, which is gaming pre-order. Okay, Grejio, what are we doing in this one again?
So, like I said last week, we had to rename gaming disorder for, political correctness reasons.
Yeah, because of the man.
Yeah.
Because someone stole our term.
Yeah, gaming disorder
we
is a mental health condition now.
Yeah, I felt like we should just claim it and still run with it. And when people ask, we just go, well, we had it first, we're taking it. And
we
we're
had
taking
the
it back
disorder first. Piss off.
Yeah. But I thought, no, I'll do the right.
Gaming pre-order is arguably better. I like it.
I thought you... I knew you had a thing against pre-orders. Don't you?
Well, not as a title. It's an intelligent name because it's kind of like gaming pre-order, which is a thing in gaming. You go and you pre-order your games, but it's also the order in which the game is played is all about the order.
Yeah, that was what I was going for. I'm glad you saw my intelligentness come out in that.
How stupid do you think I am? Don't answer that.
Anyway. So for those that have been living under a rock or just joining us, gaming pre-order, as it's now called, is a game where I give these guys a topic. In that topic, I will give them multiple options, and then they have to sort those options out in order of whatever the topic is from, where are we going? Ascending order, won't we? We've always said ascending order, so lowest to highest. So, for the first topic, it's game scores. So, of these games on Xbox, which ones have the highest achievable game scores?
Aren't they all ones?
Well, this is going to be a hard game for you to play at this rate then. You'll just go, they're all the same.
They're all shit because they're on Xbox. No, just kidding. Let's go.
Alright, so we have World of Tanks, Gears of War 4, Neverwinter Online, Warframe, and Borderlands Handsome Collection. Now, while you mulling that over, the reason I picked all of these games, except for one of them, is they all have weird game scores. Like, they're not an even number, like most games have. So most games will round up. By the time you've got all the achievements, you'll either have 1,000 or 2,000 points or whatever. These ones all have weird numbers. So, except for one.
Points. What,
Yep.
what do you mean? Am I understanding this one right?
The gamer score when you get the achievement.
So, on PlayStation you get your trophies. In this you get a gamer score, so it scores you for your achievements on Xbox.
Oh, so you mean what's the total gamer score? I thought you meant like the rating out of 10 that it got when it was reviewed.
No. No. The total amount that you could gain for your gamer score by achieving everything in the game.
Oh, right. Are we including DLC?
No, base games.
Right. Okay. Oh, this is going to be hard.
Well, I got mine.
You got yours?
I've got mine.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go because I know I'm completely wrong.
Sure.
Gears of War 4, World of Tanks, Neverwinter, Warframe, Borderlands.
And you, Mr. Snoogs?
Warframe, World of Tanks, Neverwinter, Gears, Borderlands.
All right, then.
I think I got one right. I think the Borderlands has got to be right. There's 3 games. Sorry, 2 games.
Right.
2 games.
So, the correct order from least to highest is Neverwinter Online with 2,525 points. Sorry, my bad. That's incorrect. Sorry. World of Tanks is first. My bad. Sorry. I read it wrong. World of Tanks is first with 2,055. Then Neverwinter with 2,525. Then Warframe with 2,730. Then Borderlands with 2,905. And then Gears of War 4, which has a staggering 3,500.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Remember once upon a time where they were all capped at 1,000 and then there was an extra 250 if they had DLC?
Yes.
They just obviously got rid of all that, didn't they?
Yep. Now it's all going out the door. All right. So I'm not sure who won that round, but it really wasn't. Anyway,
I'm just going to go with neither of us. Mental note: this game's really hard.
look, to be fair, it's more about just being entertaining than you guys actually achieving anything.
Oh, you just what about my own personal satisfaction? I'm feeling down now because I'm a failure.
To be fair,
Don't worry, at the end you get a
if you're looking for your own personal satisfaction, doing a podcast isn't what you should be doing. You're satisfying other people at this rate.
I'm here to satisfy myself.
Hear that, everyone?
I'm here
Who's going to satisfy you?
That's why I've got dual windows open on...
Last words are going to be really awkward tonight.
Oh, dear.
Just a grunt from Lucas. Anyway,
Round 2.
next one, I'm gonna list off a bunch of games. I want them in the order of the amount of guns that are in the game to play with.
Oh, God.
Now, this doesn't include
easier.
bows, it doesn't include mounted weapons, it doesn't include melee weapons or grenades.
I don't
but
think
it
it
will
matters.
include rocket launchers.
I don't think it matters.
Come on,
man.
just have a crack.
Oh, we're having a crack. All right. Come on.
All right. GTA
There's only
5.
2, isn't there?
GTA 5.
GTA 5.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3.
COD Modern Warfare 3.
Far Cry 3. Doom 2. And Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh.
Never played it. Okay.
Done.
I'm done too,
Cool.
I think. Oh, that's 4. Yep. Okay. There we go.
Alright. So, Lucas went first last time, so Pat, how about you have a crack?
Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, Doom 2, Far Cry 3, GTA 5, and then COD.
Okay, Mr. Lucas.
Jeez. Like the opposite. One was Doom 2, then Knights of the Old Republic, Far Cry 3, Modern Warfare 3, and GTA 5.
Alright. So the actual order is, Lucas, you were correct. Doom 2 is the first.
Yeah.
Oh,
Followed by GTA 5,
Oh.
really?
then Far Cry 3.
Oh,
then
I got that
Star
one
Wars
right.
Knights of the Real... What? Yeah, you got that one right too.
Yeah.
Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. And then it was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, which had 66 guns in it.
66 guns.
66 guns, as opposed to Doom, which only had 7.
Yeah.
If you're wondering, GTA 5 only has 21.
Yeah, well, there you go. I knew Doom because I remember just using the keys to change my weapons.
Yes, you had 9 weapons all up, and 2 of them weren't guns.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yes. Alrighty. So, is that one a tie? Because you both got 2 each in that one.
No, just give it to me.
Okay, cool. I'll give Pat the first one. That makes this one the tiebreaker.
Sounds fair. I don't care how unfair it is. Sounds good.
I play point scoring here. All right. This is number of playable characters in the game.
Ooh.
And this is the base game. Doesn't include DLC. All right. So you should have a good idea of this one.
Probably not.
All right. So, first game, Last of Us. Second, Injustice 2. Third, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Number 4 is Dragon Ball FighterZ. And the last one is Skyrim.
What is it? Is this playable characters?
Playable characters.
Oh, I feel like I need to make an informed decision here because this is concerning The Last of Us.
Ding ding.
All right. Ding ding. It's one person in.
And we'll start the music. I'm still going.
Do, 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 do. 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 Do, 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 do.
Boom. Be out.
Boom. Time's up.
No!
No, it's all good. Come on. You're painting over it. You want to win this. You're a very competitive boy.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. All right. So, you want to go first? You confident?
Okay. Yeah, I'll go.
Alright.
I'm not confident, but more so than the last 2 rounds, if anything. All right. Number 1, I've got Modern Warfare 2. Is that right? Was that one of them?
Yep.
Next, I've got The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
Then... Oh, I've got 2 2s. Or is that a 3?
You're in trouble then.
No, Skyrim,
Yep.
Dragon Ball, and Injustice.
Okay. Mr. Pat.
Skyrim, Last of Us, COD, Injustice, or Dragon Ball. And Dragon Ball, I should say. Because flip a coin between those two.
I was the same.
All right. Well, the actual order is The Last of Us with 2 playable characters,
Yeah.
followed by Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which has 5.
Oh, yeah, there's a few more in it. Yeah.
Yep. Next is Skyrim with 10 choosable players.
I got that. I got that in the right order.
You did.
The 5 factions, male or female.
Yep. Then there's Dragon Ball FighterZ or Dragon Ball Fighters with 21, and then Injustice with 28. So, Mr. Lucas, that means you win this round because Mr. Snoogs bombed out on that one.
Oh yeah! What do I win?
Satisfaction.
I can live with that.
You can lord it over Pat until the next one.
Get yourself a participation award.
Yay!
Yep. Pat on the back.
Can I here? This is what I need for a bit of fanfare.
Wow.
That was powerful.
That's so Sega.
Yeah, Sega or like Nintendo 64 or something.
Yeah. It's like the end of a Sega arcade. Like you just got to the last checkpoint. Yeah,
Game
goal.
over, yeah!
I'm expecting this big thing that comes off and it says goal because they believe that that's what Western people back then thought was Winning.
Finish line. Yeah, goal.
Yeah. Goal.
That's it. All right. Well, that was gaming pre-order, and congratulations to me.
So humble.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got to celebrate winning these things. I don't feel them coming around too often.
Nope.
I'm all real tough when I'm the quizmaster.
Totally.
And then when it comes round, I'm like, oh shit. What's that sound? All right, let's move on to the next and last, well, kind of last, second last segment, Tech Headland. Okay, so last week for Tech Headland, we talked about next-gen consoles. I put up a poll on the Facebook page. And are you kidding me? 199 votes. That was pretty damn cool, but one extra would have been good. I'm just going to quickly check it now just to see if we clocked over the 200 votes. That'd be nice. Oh, we're 200 votes! 200 votes. Somebody got in there. All right, it doesn't change the percentage though, so that's still the same. 200 votes on whether or not people wanted Blu-ray discs or like Nintendo Switch style cartridges. Yeah, I voted for the cartridges. I'm happy with the cartridges, but 82% of people who voted wanted the Ultra Blu-ray discs, so a UHD or whatever you want to call them, drive in the next gen consoles, where only 18% agreed with the Switch-like cartridges. And
that's fair enough.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty definitive, and I reckon that's probably the way it's going to go. Right, but this week we will be talking about VR, virtual reality in Tech Headland. And to prepare for this, I gave VR another go this week. I set up my PlayStation VR, and I set it up where it can be permanently set up now. I don't have to disconnect it when I'm not using it, which is really cool. And I actually finally finished Moss. Do you remember that game?
Yep. Yes.
That's a satisfying game to play. I recommend that one. So anyone that's got VR, get your or PlayStation VR. I think it's on Steam now. Yeah,
okay.
I think you can get it on Steam to play it with like Vive and Oculus now. So if you've got your hands on a VR system, play Moss. It's a really cool game, or at least try and get your hands on the demo to try it out, and it'll probably impress you. What is VR?
I put my VR on this week.
Oh, did you? What did you play?
Yeah, Gran Turismo.
Oh, yeah, yep. Okay, very good. But what is VR? We'll start off, we'll go into that, because there probably might be some people that don't really understand what it is. The easiest way to explain what VR is that when you put the headset on, because there's always a headset involved, you're placed within a 3D world, and your head movements are tracked by like a camera or a sensor or something like that, depending on the system you're using. And it turns your head movements into movements in the game, and it really does trick your brain into thinking what you're seeing is real, and you have that spatial awareness, which you don't really get from seeing a 2D screen. Bloody amazing. Now, there are a couple of... there's quite a few VR headsets on the market, but there's three main ones. Yeah, people may disagree with me. There might be some other ones that are big high up there, but the main ones I know of are the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift, and of course PlayStation VR. PlayStation VR probably being the easiest to obtain based on the price, because if you're looking at the PC versions, which is the Vive and the Rift, you got to get yourself a pretty tanky PC. So you're up for a couple of grand, and then you're looking at the Oculus Rift or the actual headset itself. They've come down in price. They used to be up around $800 or $900. They're probably down around $400 or $500 now, which is reasonable. But still, you need that tanky PC. Whereas the PlayStation VR, you're probably looking at around $300, $400 for the PlayStation VR, and then the console, which the cheapest one's about $300, $400. So it's a lot cheaper to get into the PlayStation VR. Now, do you guys know the difference between virtual reality and augmented reality?
Yes.
On a very basic level, yeah.
So, can someone have a stab at explaining it?
So, virtual reality is based on the premise that you're creating a world that you go into. So therefore, like we were talking about before, your field of view is taken up by
the virtual world.
By the virtual world, and your brain believes that you're in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Augmented reality takes the world that you live in the real life, and then adds to it. So you'll probably still wear a headset, but it will probably be either less bulky and therefore is usually see-through, so you can see your world, or it's got a camera that then feeds the real world back into you,
mm-hmm.
or uses some sort of projection technology to then add to the world. So a very basic example of that is on the PlayStation. You've got that what's the little robots thing that the kids love playing with? What's it called?
The VR bots or something like that.
The whatever they are. The fact that once again it's on your screen, so it's
mm-hmm.
it's one step removed from what AR aspires to be. But essentially, what it does, the camera records what's in front of you. The PlayStation camera, so it records you sitting on the couch, your coffee table, your floor, wherever you're sitting, and then you pump out these little robots, and the little robots then interact with things that are happening and things that are on the TV screen that's in your world, kind of thing.
Yeah, spot on. To put it quite simply, VR is a complete disconnect from the real world, where your sight and sound is 100% replaced, and it's replaced with a completely generated other world, where augmented reality allows the user to keep one foot firmly placed in the real world with otherworldly additions layered over the top in order to give the illusion that something is in front of you when it's not. So that's...
Well, I've actually seen Google Glasses running an augmented reality trial, and absolutely phenomenal. It was, I think they're actually trying to do it in some warehouses throughout the US predominantly, where you'll get notifications sent to your headset, so that the glasses that you need to go and pick, product XYZ, and you will then get a map on the floor in front of you, so like an arrow trail to follow to where that that product is.
Just like a waypoint in a game,
yeah. So you go and pick it, then take it back for dispatch, and then the next thing comes up, and so on and so forth. And I've actually seen a demonstration of it, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Where it's sort of going, and it seems to be where the whole Google Glasses that was, about to take the world by storm. That seems to have been where they found their niche.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. With virtual reality and augmented reality, their applications extend far beyond video games. It is great in the video game world, but that's not the only thing these things are good for. And I've got a little bit more on that as we go through. But first of all, next up I wanted to discuss with you guys just briefly, what do you think the most impressive thing about virtual reality that you can get confusing myself, that you can't get from other styles of play? So what's the most impressive thing from VR that isn't in standard gameplay?
Pain.
What? Pain?
I can put a VR headset. No. Because you are so put into this world, I can put a VR headset on, jump in a race car, and my entire body feels like it's in a race car.
Oh, yes. Okay, I understand.
So I can jump out, like I can take the headset off after doing, 5-10 minutes of racing, and because of, the G-forces that your brain predicts you are going to feel, it tenses up muscles, and you brace yourself for turns and whatnot, and you actually get off, feeling tight and feeling tense, and you have that pain of realization, like you've just been throwing a car around a circuit. Yeah, well, you don't get that normally.
Well, no, further to that, my very first experience with VR was the PlayStation VR, and I was playing Drive Club VR. And when I'd finished, I said to the person that was running the stand, this was at the EB Expo quite a few years ago, I said, "Oh, how does the seat work?" And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, when I was going around the corners, like the seat was pushing me in different directions." And they said, "No, the seat doesn't move." They said, "Have a look, it's rigid." And yeah, sure enough, the seat adjusted forward and back like a normal car seat, but that's it. It wasn't on hydraulics or anything like that. But it tricks your mind that you actually think you're feeling G-forces when you're braking and turning, because your mind anticipates it, but it doesn't actually happen, but you think it does. It's the most bizarre thing. But that's where that sort of stuff leads into the thing that I find is most impressive about VR, is just the pure immersion. There is no other way that I could actually foresee that you can draw yourself into a game to actually make you feel like you're in there doing the things you're doing, other than with VR. I think it's a mind-blowing thing. Greg, you've used VR, yeah?
Yeah. Like I look, I won't lie. I'm an Xbox boy, so there's no VR headset for Xbox. There's no foreseeable future
there's AR
for Microsoft. There's AR, but I have used the PSVR before at shows and stuff like that, and there's some things I really like it for, but at the moment, for the most part, it's really gimmicky. In my opinion, it's just my opinion. I know people believe that this is the be all end all, that this is where gaming is going, kind of thing. I'm not that hardcore to think that that's where gaming's only future is. But look, I get it. I get the immersion thing. Like, I've played Gran Turismo Sport on it with it, and yeah, it's amazing. I won't lie. You go over that hill for the first time, lose your stomach, and you're like, "Yep, this is real," you know. And you can play better because, you know, I know how to drive a car in real life. I know how to drive a car fast in real life. I've driven on a racetrack before in real life, so I can now put those skills to use in a game as much as I can.
As long as it's not a snow track without chains.
Yeah, well, there's that too. Hey, look, if they bring out a snow stage rally course on Gran Turismo Sport that I can play on VR, then who knows?
As long as you can get out and push.
I can get out and push. So, you know, I agree. I think for me personally, I think the only thing that VR has over standard gaming is that immersion, is that feeling, because a lot of the other things that you can get, like perspective and stuff like that, you can find other ways around. Sorry,
I missed that last bit. What'd you say?
Sorry. I was just saying, I think the only thing that VR has over standard gaming is that immersion, because anything else, like perspective, you can get around. We've already gotten around those kinds of things with the way controls work now and stuff like that.
Did you say perspective? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, it cut out like in the same spot both times you tried to say that.
Sure.
Okay. Well, look, yeah, I agree with you to a point where I think VR is an amazing tool, but at the moment, the predominant use for it is very gimmicky. A lot of games are only using small portions. It's more of a teaser than anything, and we're having a chat in our Discord private chat with us, and I was talking with Rem about it, and
yep.
I sort of I made the comment that I feel that we're only getting bite-sized chunks of VR because the player base is very, very small when you compare to just standard gaming. So if you're going to develop a full game and spend all this money, you kind of want to know that it's going to come back. You're going to get your money back. And it's not really there yet, you know. Until the day comes where everybody's got a VR system, we're not going to see a ton of full games dedicated to VR.
Yeah, and this is why I don't put any stock in it at the moment. And this is why I think it's one of these things that will probably slide away again before it resurfaces as something worthwhile, is because no one actually wants to put it on the table. But if you don't put it on the table, no one has a reason to buy into it.
But see, the thing is, I don't feel that this is a Connect scenario. And I'm not. This is not me being a fanboy of anything, because if you know me well enough, you know I love Xbox and I love I love all of it. So this isn't me just hating on Connect, but the difference between Connect and VR is VR works. Connect was a pipe dream and never really had the potential there.
You get no argument from me. You get no. I'm not making this about Connect versus VR. I wouldn't do that, because I agree. Connect, that augmented reality system that they had as an augmented reality system, that was poor.
Yes.
But when I say VR, I'm not slamming on PlayStation VR. I'm slamming on all of them.
Oh, VR in general. Absolutely.
No one is putting themselves out there. No one's willing to take the risk, and if no one's willing to take the risk, then why would the consumers take the risk in putting all their stock in and everyone buying a VR? Like, it's the chicken and the egg scenario. Someone has to put in one way or the other.
Radicus has put a comment in here saying VR is like 3D for TV. People got sick of it quickly. I disagree with that, and I'm gonna touch on that in a second, because my next topic here is VR worth your time and money? VR is getting cheaper, and the best value for money, as I said before, is the PlayStation VR, which is $420 at the moment, which will come with everything except for the console. It's getting more and more affordable. But is it a fad that will die out, which is essentially what we're wondering here? I don't think so. I don't think that VR has the capacity to die. It's going to take a while, but I don't think it'll become mainstream until the ease of use goes down. Because I don't believe that it's possible to convince somebody that what you're getting out of using VR is worth setting up that thing. Even now, my headset is plugged in all the time. If I want to play a VR game, I have to go and get a chair. I have to put it in the middle of my lounge room, so I'm within the confines of the camera, because the camera needs to see the lights on the headset and the controller. I then have to take the headset out, unravel it, adjust it, put it on my head, get headphones that are wired, plug it into the VR, put them on, adjust it so it's comfortable, start the game, and away you go. That's too much. That's too much. Until we get to the point, and I think this is probably 100 years down the line, until we get to the point where we can just walk in and go PlayStation on, PC on, or whatever it is, and it automatically just taps into our brains and we can see the VR stuff, I don't think it'll be mainstream. But VR is too good to let it die.
Yeah, look, I once used to think like Radicus, where I just went, it's like 3D. It's like the 3DS. It's a gimmick. It'll play out for a while and then it'll die. But when I actually sat down and thought about it seriously, we had VR back in the 90s, and it made a splash. Everyone thought it was cool, but then it slowly faded out. But you're right, it sits under there, and people don't forget. People work on it in the background, and it makes a resurgence when they think it's going to make some more money. Yeah. And I think this is what's going to happen here. It's going to have this steady feed of, we're just going to get these tidbits and half mouthfuls of, stuff for a while, or it's going to slide down under the radar again and sit there for a while, but it will come back. It's not. I think you're right. It's a long burn. Yeah, and I think it's either going to sit where it is for a while, or it's going to dive back under the surface where we won't see it for a while. But it will come back, and it will be better until eventually it becomes a mainstream thing. But for the time being, I think AR has a better opportunity of becoming an everyday thing because it has, I think, more commercial purpose and use. Yeah, it has more real world uses than VR at the moment.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I've got a note here of what else is VR used for, and from the research that I was doing for this, VR has already been used in training for medical practices, military, as well as aviation, which is a given, really. That's an obvious one. So VR has also been shown to be extremely useful in therapy, whether it be like physical rehabilitation or mental. These things have been amazingly helpful. And you can see why. Even just explaining it to you, you don't really need it sort of broken down for you. You can see why it would be good in medicine and military flying, and also for rehab as well. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think VR will live a long life. Whether it has a long life in gaming, I don't know. But I hope they keep at it, and I hope they push and make, because it works. That's that. Like, I go back to, say, talking about the PlayStation VR versus Kinect. VR works. The PlayStation VR works. Whereas Kinect was brilliant. I loved the concept of it, and I really enjoyed it as well. But it was really too hit and miss.
Yeah. Well, there's one sector that's excuse me, that's utilising VR in a way which will, in today's age, will actually make it stay around for a lot longer and actually make it grow.
Porn.
Currently, if anyone's inclined to it, you can jump on YouTube, you can jump on Twitch and look for VR chat. Now, what VR chat is it's essentially Ready Player One. You have your VR headset and create yourself an avatar, and you go into this massive online world. And it's currently in very early stages, but it's pretty much a social meetup and hangout.
This is now Third Life?
Something like that, yeah.
It's replacing Second Life.
So it's an online community. It's an online social space, and it's a place where a lot of people on Twitch and a lot of people on YouTube are actually going completely crazy for it, because it is this, international social space where there's a lot of people on there, obviously letting themselves go. Trolls are not tolerated, so you get a lot of people that are just on there to have fun, and that seems to be what they're doing. So that side of it, because social media has really engulfed the world and taken over how we do things, that I see as the next stage in virtual reality is to actually have it as that social thing. For years now, we've been asking and debating and hearing little whispers here and there of PlayStation Home coming back in some form or another. I actually think that doing it via the PSVR might actually be a good step in the right direction for the platform.
I reckon if that does come back, it'll definitely have VR. Be silly not to.
I'd like to give the VR chat a go, except that currently it's only on PC.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a lot of fun, and especially like you can make anything. There's people going in there as video game characters, as little 3D models that have been made up. Just that many random sort of things. It seems to be a lot of fun.
Beef Boy, apparently. That's a creepy looking thing. All right, let's bring it home. That's pretty much all I've got on VR, but obviously there is plenty more to be discussed. If you've got more to suggest, head across to our Discord. You can go in there and in the podcast I know where can we suggest? Yeah, just in the podcast general. If you've got something to say about Tech Headland, chuck it in there, and if it gets enough traction, we'll make its own little text section there for Discord.
Sounds good.
Link in the description for the invitation to the Discord channel if you're not there already. Next week on Tech Headland, it's getting late. We'll be talking about HDR. What is it, and how does it work, and is it any good? Alrighty. So let's go into the actual last segment, last words. Radicus is going to send us some pics of his new VR setup when it's done. Please do, man. Please do.
Yeah, not of the VR porn.
Yeah, not of the VR porn.
Yeah,
definitely not you playing.
Don't need to see that.
No. All right.
Especially your old videos.
Snoogs, can you hit us again with the quote for who the said that?
Yes, so the quote was, "If you can't do it, I can't help you. Put down the controller and walk away." So you've had a bit of time now. Did anyone pick up who the said that?
Look, I'm going to go with a guess, seeing as though we're talking about people breaking the fourth wall. Was it Deadpool from the Deadpool game?
No, it's not.
No, I don't think Snooze has played that.
No, I haven't actually.
No, I didn't think so.
I heard how terrible it was, and I didn't want to rule my love of Deadpool over it.
No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
No?
I heard it was okay.
Did you listen? You got to listen to episode 30 of the old school podcast. We actually Reprimir talks about playing it.
Oh, okay. I'll listen to it then.
Yeah,
and no, Radicus, it's not Duke Nukem either.
Duke Nukem. Yeah, that would have been a good guess. Now I don't know who the fuck said that, man.
No, it was in fact Bruce Campbell as the tutorial in the Spider-Man game. I think it was Spider-Man 2 or something on the PS2.
There you go. Good old Bruce.
Yeah, so Bruce Campbell was in, the Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, and the games that were offshoot of it, he did the voiceovers for the tutorial levels at the start.
I was never going to get that.
Well, that was pretty groovy.
All right. Greg, have we got a code word? I've got a code word if you haven't got one.
I usually just make it up in the last minute.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, no, I usually pick something. Usually talking, like the last week's one was Radicus had made a comment, and I picked something out of his comment and said, "That's this week's code word." I do it on the fly. Yeah, carpal tunnel, because he was mentioning something about masturbation issues. Right. So carpal tunnel came up, and
I did some research into this week's code word because I've got it noted down. I've looked into it, did a few Google searches, and I've come up with potato salad.
Potato salad.
Yeah, potato salad.
Is that where you get a whole bunch of old PCs and then put them together?
No, I didn't research that at all. It was just a word off the top of my head. So that's the code word for this week.
I'm not sure what kind of research you were doing.
Yeah, no, it's nothing like that. So if you're listening to the podcast and you come all the way to the end of the show, you get the code word. And you put the code word somewhere on our social media so we can see it. And we thank you for it. It's really, you just become... you stand out in the crowd, if anything. Cause,
much loved.
That's much love. You stand out in the crowd, and we'll always appreciate anyone that gives us the code word because they listen to the end of the show. What's this? I love all Brucey.
I was talking about Bruce Campbell, which is cool. Radicus has actually worked with E3.
Nice guy. I worked
awesome.
with him at E3. Oh, there you go. Lovely. Yeah, Bruce Campbell was a funny guy. You guys got any last words?
Just a couple.
Sure.
I played Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic this week, just for a bit of nostalgia since you guys were nostalgiaing it up last week. It's an old Xbox title, and funnily enough, the graphics really hold up. I'm going to be honest. It still is playable. It's still feels good. Look, I won't say they're amazing because they're original Halo-esque kind of level, but as an RPG, it's pretty solid. I actually enjoyed playing it. So if you're interested in old RPG and you like Star Wars, then this might be a goer for you. The combat is very clunky, though. I will give it that. The combat is difficult to get your head around.
BioWare
it's turn-based.
game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's turn-based.
Oh, really?
But it's live action. It's really bizarre. It's like literally press a button and then it does everything for you, kind of thing. It's.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's really. It's the only downside to this game. I'm sure at the time it was amazing, but I literally just want to look down scopes and shoot something, and I can't. Even just hitting someone with a sword or a lightsaber is, just unrewarding for that reason. Moving, and the other thing I said, we missed with Mock the Story at the end. We should have said anyone that wants to put their 5 cents worth in their funny comments. We have a Mock the Story section in Discord. So for this week's current affair interviews that were missed, if you've got something that you think was funny or want to share it with us, put it there, and we'll read it and we'll have a chuckle.
Absolutely.
Other than that,
Snoogs.
Other than that, I've had a good week. Yeah.
Snoogs, you've got to play Dirt 4 apparently.
I reviewed Dirt 4 on the PlayStation.
You did too.
I did. I've got it on the PlayStation. I've played Radicus. I've played Dirt 4 VR. I absolutely loved it. Dirt 4 with the VR section is unbelievable. It is so much fun. Just sliding a car around. It's brilliant. So yeah, a lot of fun. And it is on Game Pass at the moment. So if you haven't played it and you got Game Pass, give it a crack. It's not overly forgiving, but it's not as hardcore as a lot of the rally racing games are. So a bit of fun can be had.
Yep. Same with Knights of the Old Republic. That's why I played it. It was on Game Pass.
Yep.
That's it. All right. Anything else? I don't have anything else.
No, only other thing, get across to our website. I've been chucking up a whole lot of news. I've got some more to put up there. Keep it locked, keep it tabbed, bookmark it, check in. It's always got some nice stuff going up on that site, on the website, which is AussieGamersExpress.com.
Yeah, www.aussiegamersexpress.com and then press Control D.
That's the one.
To bookmark it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Radicus. Appreciate it. All right, we're done?
Yeah, we're
Done.
good.
Okie dokie. Thank you very much to everyone that has listened to the show, and especially to those of you that are still listening this far along, especially to you, Radicus. Special thanks again to Snoogs and Grejio, and Rem, we'll see you again very soon for your hard work and efforts for the show. To all of our listeners, feel free to continue any of the topics that we've discussed on this show on our Facebook page or Discord channel. Links are in the podcast show notes and description. That's all for me, so as always, I am Lucas.
I am Grejio.
And I have been Snoogs. Say hi to your mum for me.
Oh, say hi to your mum.
Peace.
It's Rose. See ya. Well, here we are once again at the end of this week's show. If you're still hungry for more video game content, then head over to the Aussie Gamers Express Facebook page and give us a like. We also have a heavy presence over on Twitter and YouTube, and their links are waiting for you in the podcast description. This podcast is available for your convenience through Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and more. Thanks again for listening. Catch you all on the next episode of the Aussie Gamers Express Video Game Podcast.